This is the reading from Acts for June 26th. 5 days later, the high priest Ananias came down with some elders and an advocate, a certain Tertullus, and they presented formal charges against Paul to the governor. When he was called, Tertullus began to accuse him, saying, "Since we have attained much peace through you, and reforms have been accomplished in this nation through your provident care, we acknowledge this in every way and everywhere, most excellent Felix, with all gratitude. But in order not to detain you further, I ask you to give us a brief hearing with your customary graciousness. We found this man to be a pest. He creates dissension among Jews all over the world, and is a ringleader of the sect of the Nazareans. He even tried to desecrate our temple, but we arrested him. If you examine him, you will be able to learn from him for yourself about everything of which we are accusing him." The Jews also joined in the attack and asserted that these things were so. Then the governor motioned for him to speak, and Paul replied, "I know that you have been a judge over this nation for many years, and so I am pleased to make my defense before you. As you can verify, not more than 12 days have passed since I went up to Jerusalem to worship. Neither in the temple, nor in the synagogues, nor anywhere in the city did they find me arguing with anyone, or instigating a riot among the people. Nor can they prove to you the accusations they are now making against me. But this I do admit to you, that according to the way, which they call a sect, I worship the God of our ancestors, and I believe everything that is in accordance with the law and written in the prophets. I have the same hope in God as they themselves have, that there will be a resurrection of the righteous and the unrighteous. Because of this, I always strive to keep my conscience clear before God and man. After many years, I came to bring alms for my nation and offerings. While I was so engaged, they found me, after my purification, in the temple without a crowd or disturbance. But some Jews from the province of Asia, who should be here before you to make whatever accusations they might have against me, or let these men themselves state what crime they discovered when I stood before the Sanhedrin, unless it was my one outcry as I stood among them, that I am on trial before you today for the resurrection of the dead." Then Felix, who was accurately informed about the way, postponed the trial, saying, "When Lysias the commander comes down, I shall decide your case." He gave orders to the centurion that he should be kept in custody, but have some liberty, and that he should not prevent any of his friends for caring for his needs. Several days later, Felix came with his wife Drusilla, who was Jewish. He had Paul summoned and listened to him speak about faith in Christ Jesus. But as he spoke about righteousness and self-restraint and the coming judgment, Felix became frightened and said, "You may go for now. When I find an opportunity, I shall summon you again." At the same time, he hoped that a bribe would be offered him by Paul, and so he sent for him very often and conversed with him. 2 years passed, and Felix was succeeded by Porcius Festus. Wishing to ingratiate himself with the Jews, Felix left Paul in prison. 3 days after his arrival in the province, Festus went up from Caesarea to Jerusalem, where the chief priests and Jewish leaders presented him their formal charges against Paul. They asked him as a favor to have him sent to Jerusalem, for they were plotting to kill him along the way. Festus replied that Paul was being held in custody in Caesarea, and that he himself would be returning there shortly. He said, "Let your authorities come down with me, and if this man has done something improper, let them accuse him." After spending no more than 8 or 10 days with him, he went down to Caesarea, and on the following day took his seat on the tribunal and ordered that Paul be brought in. When he appeared, the Jews who had come down from Jerusalem surrounded him and brought many serious charges against him, which they were unable to prove. In defending himself, Paul said, "I have committed no crime either against the Jewish law, or against the temple, or against Caesar." Then Festus, wishing to ingratiate himself with the Jews, said to Paul in reply, "Are you willing to go up to Jerusalem, and there stand trial before me on these charges?" Paul answered, "I am standing before the tribunal of Caesar. This is where I should be tried. I have committed no crime against the Jews, as you very well know. If I have committed a crime or done anything deserving death, I do not seek to escape the death penalty. But if there is no substance to the charges they are bringing against me, then no one has the right to hand me over to them. I appeal to Caesar." Then Festus, after conferring with his council, replied, "You have appealed to Caesar. To Caesar you will go."